Well, anyway, we need you to stick around because we have another informative show in store for you. A little later on the show, we're going to have some dialogue about how Donald Trump doesn't believe he's going to get into heaven. And two preacher's kids on this radio show definitely have some thoughts about that. Prior to that, Q Ward is going to clap back about how the right has stopped pretending to be anything other than what they are. It's a sad state. Before we break, we're going to be talking about how Dominion voting systems has now been sold to a Republican elections director. So there is definitely some cause for concern for people who are wondering if election integrity will still be a thing post Project 2025, post Trump 2.0. And of course, we're going to start the show off talking about what's going on in the culture, and the remaining Israeli hostages have been released by Hamas. So a major development there within the culture. But as always, we like to start off with a feel-good feature, and we might spend a little extra time on this one. So be warned. Yeah, buckle up. This is from BINnews.com. Tennessee State Rep and our dear friend Justin Pearson, nationally known as a member of the Tennessee Three, has launched his bid for Congress. According to Axios, Pearson, 30, announced that he will challenge Representative Steve Cohen, the Democrat from Tennessee, in the primary race for Memphis's 9th congressional district. Pearson, one of the Tennessee lawmakers who made headlines for protesting gun violence on their chamber floor, is backed by Justice Democrats, the progressive group that helped elect Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, the Democrat from New York, and other members of the squad. His candidacy signals a push from the party's left flank to replace entrenched Democratic incumbents with younger, more progressive leaders. Cohen, 76, has held the Memphis-based seat since 2007. The longtime congressman maintained that he remains the preferred candidate of his district. Quote, "Nobody who's run against me in the 9 terms has won a precinct against me," unquote, Cohen told Axios. He goes on to say, "It's a black district. It's the second blackest district in America. I'm the only white person with a majority minority district. I've always had someone coming up and thinking they could take advantage of people's racial interests. The people of Memphis had not had that. They have supported me," unquote. Pearson, along with Representative Justin Jones, was expelled from the Tennessee House for protesting gun violence on the chamber floor in the wake of a March shooting at Nashville's The Covenant School. A third Democrat, Representative Gloria Johnson, also joined the protest but wasn't expelled. Pearson was later reinstated and met with former President Joe Biden, cementing his spot as a rising figure in the Democratic Party. With Memphis's 9th congressional district safely Democratic, the real contest will be the 2026 primary, not the general election. The race is expected to draw national attention as Pearson tries to become the next insurgent progressive to unseat a long-term incumbent. Okay, a couple of things I want to say here, and then, of course, get your thoughts here. As I mentioned, pretty much everybody here, with the exception of Cohen, are friends of ours. Representative Gloria Johnson, she's a supporter of ours. She follows our social media, is very vocal supporter of the show. Justin Jones, we've done in-person events with both Justins, Justin Jones and Justin Pearson. Again, dear friends of ours. We're really supportive of these two guys and really like what they stand for. One of the things that I think is worth mentioning is that both Justins, after they were expelled from the Tennessee House, were reinstated with, I think, over 90% of the vote in the Tennessee House. So the fact that, this primary is between Justin Pearson and Representative Cohen, I think Justin has a pretty good shot here of actually securing the nomination. And I think that we might actually see him in Congress, which would be fantastic. What say you, Q?
I've kind of lost faith in elections. We've heard a man say multiple times he rigged an election and won, and literally nobody cares. No one reacted. No one did anything. No recounts happened. Nothing changed. Nobody marched in the streets. Nobody got mad. Nobody got angry. So I don't know. I don't even know how to, like, everybody keeps talking about midterms and everybody keeps talking about elections moving forward with the guy who has not only said that he's rigged the elections, that he wouldn't have won without rigging them, has made it clear he has no intention on going anywhere, has already floated the idea of starting global conflict just to make sure that an election doesn't happen. Like, I don't know how to feel about elections at all when someone can rig one, say they rigged it, still win. Like, how do you feel like you can win after that? When you know the other side has the capacity, the know-how, and the willingness to do that, and that the people won't get angry about it, won't. And if they do get angry, nothing they can do about it. So if anybody can win, he can. But because I don't know about the efficacy of fair elections anymore, like, I don't know.
Yeah, that's fair. Well, I think that from what I took, first off, Representative Cohen is 76 years old. So that's one thing. Justin's 30. Justin has been an amazing orator and just he's shown the type of leadership that I think really matters at this point in time. The type of things that we were expecting to see, he's the type of person to be able to show it. And because of the fact that this is really, the primary is really the election because there's so many Democrats in the district, that this doesn't really seem likely that there would be any interference if indeed that, like, this probably wouldn't be that where they would focus that interference.
Yeah,
so in terms of this
what I want to
specific
say,
contest,
as far as candidates go, he's the candidate I'm most excited about, regardless of what he's running for.
Yeah.
Like, I'd vote for him for whatever he decided he wanted to do.
Yeah, he's good.
And I would work on his campaign team for free and canvass and call and march and volunteer, hang signs, take pictures, do black flips. If he started a gymnastic team, I'd be a spotter.
That's funny.
If he needed a pitcher for his underhand softball, hardball, little league, major league baseball, softball team, I would do that. If he needs a flag football, artificial quarterback to quarterback both teams, I'll do that. Like, he's the person that I have the most hope for.
Sure.
He's the person I get the most excited about. He's the person that when he finishes speaking, it's like, okay, so
why would we do anything else?
Everybody doesn't think that he's the one that should be talking all the time.
Yeah.
That message and that voice and that tone from that man needs to be what everybody's hearing every day. And you and I spoke in the recent past where I was like, hey, man, Justin is conspicuously quiet. And I didn't mean that he was quiet. I meant it's weird that this party
is not platforming,
recognized the superstar that they have and don't realize that this is the moment where he should be amplified and elevated and propped up.
Yeah.
More than anybody else in the country.
Yeah.
So as far as him as a candidate, bro, he's the home run candidate for me for everything. Yeah. But I don't know how I feel about the infrastructure or the voting process,
the election systems. Yeah, no,
elections in general after what just happened recently.
Yeah. Oh, we're gonna get to that. So, well, anyway, excited to see what comes, and I know we're gonna get him back on the show here pretty soon. I should probably text him again, just see how he's doing because I know he's been busy with this. But yeah, shout out to Justin Pearson for leveling up. All right, let's talk about what's going on in the culture with this Israeli Hamas situation. So the remaining Israeli hostages have been released by Hamas. This from iHeart.com. All 20 of the remaining living Israeli hostages were released by Hamas on October 13th in adherence with the first part of a ceasefire agreement between the two sides, NBC News reports. The hostages, who were taken captive on October 7, 2023, were met by members of the Israeli military as they crossed over the border back into their home country. The Hostages and Missing Families Forum, a group representing the hostage families, confirmed that only 4 of the 28 bodies of the deceased hostages held by Hamas would be returned on Monday, which it claimed was a blatant breach of the agreement by Hamas. The remaining 48 Israeli hostages being released was reported to be part of the first phase of the announced peace deal between Israel and Hamas shortly after President Donald Trump's original announcement last Thursday, October 9th. The Hostages and Missing Families Forum previously said its members felt quote, a mix of excitement, anticipation, and concern, unquote, following the agreement, which came 2 years and 1 day after the Israeli hostages were taken captive by Hamas. Hamas has confirmed it will participate in the hostage and prisoner exchange, however, hasn't said it would disarm and disband, which was a key stipulation in Trump's proposal. The first phase also hasn't given a medium or long-term plan on Gaza's future, as the Israeli Defense Forces said it would adjust deployment lines soon, but reiterated that parts of Gaza were still considered a dangerous combat zone, and confirmed that troops were deployed and operating anywhere in the Strip. A previous ceasefire lasted from January 19th to March 18th, which was followed by a barrage of deadly airstrikes launched by Israel across the Gaza Strip. Israel blamed Hamas for the hostilities, claiming the militant group refused to meet its demand to release more hostages at the time. A United Nations commission comprised of a team of independent experts formally accused Israel of committing genocide against Palestinians in Gaza and called on the international community to end the campaign earlier this month. We don't have too much time here, but I want to make sure that, if you have any reflections here, Q, that you're able to share them first.
I wish all of us could get back to being compassionate, empathetic human beings instead of members of all these different separate tribes, all these different separate religions, all these different separate races, all these different separate things that were all created to keep us separate. You've heard at protests before that a people united can never be defeated. It's been said so much that it kind of became corny, but it's really the most true thing ever stated. People united could really do anything and everything, and those in power have kept us divided intentionally so that we could not rise up together as a people. Anything about peace, anything that will stop people from being just violently slaughtered, anything that brings an end to unimaginable, horrific violence that's been going on in that part of the world for way too long is something that makes me feel better. Talking about it as a political story bugs me because I think something that everyone should have wanted from the very beginning, everyone, was for this thing to stop. Yeah. Right? Something happened that was wrong. So the answer to that was to do something 100,000 times more violent, more horrific, and justify it every day. And then for us to fight back and forth about whether or not one of us is right versus wrong, when both of us should be saying, hey, the babies over there being burned up and having bombs dropped on them and being starved to death shouldn't. Like, that shouldn't have been a controversial position. That shouldn't have been a controversial take. So I'm hoping that something like this could have people on both sides, as I do my air quotes, saying, yeah, some peace and an end to this violence should be the case.
Now we're going to offer our opinions on the sale of Dominion voting systems to a Republican elections director. So this is what Q was referring to earlier, election integrity. Let's get right into it. I'll share this from CBS News. Dominion Voting Systems, one of the nation's largest election technology companies, has been acquired by St. Louis-based Liberty Vote. The acquisition caps a half-decade that saw Dominion thrust into the public eye amid false accusations of election rigging. Liberty Vote announced the purchase of Dominion Thursday afternoon. The terms of the deal were not immediately disclosed. Liberty Vote was founded by Scott Leyendecker, I think that's how I say this, a former Republican elections director for St. Louis. He also founded Knowing, which describes itself as the largest provider of electronic poll book technology in the United States, used in dozens of states. Knowing says it was built exclusively in America and has a bipartisan team of former election administrators, directors, and poll workers, according to a company spokesperson. In a statement Thursday, Liberty Vote said it would be 100% American-owned and that as of today, Dominion is gone. Dominion was incorporated in Toronto, but in 2009, it moved its headquarters to Denver. Quote, Liberty Vote signals a new chapter for American elections, one where trust is rebuilt from the ground up, Leyendecker said. He goes on to say Liberty Vote is committed to delivering election technology that prioritizes paper based transparency, security, and simplicity so that voters can be assured that every ballot is filled in accurately and fairly counted. All right, I'm going to say something, and I think that Q is going to. I think I know what you're going to say. And what I'm going to say might be a little disturbing to you, Q. Because there's some optimism where there's no real reason to have any optimism. Because I know that with the article saying a former Republican what is this guy's title? Elections director, now owning Dominion. Republicans as a whole, especially Republicans that are high up, like an elections director, are kind of on the hook for Project 2025. They're kind of on the hook for the big lie. They're kind of on the hook for the insurrection. And we've seen Republicans as a whole do things that are morally bankrupt time and again. So Republicans, if I'm painting with broad strokes, and especially like up this high up the ladder, are kind of on the hook for a lot of stuff. So there's no reason to presume that this individual, Scott Leindecker, has acquired Dominion voting systems, paired it with Liberty Vote, and will, call it fair in a manner of speaking, because we've seen them lie time and again. The Republican side of the aisle lied about the 2020 elections. That's why Dominion won the lawsuit against Fox News and Rudy Giuliani, and they won a lawsuit against, I think, like Newsmax or News Nation or something, like whatever one of those other like rinky-dink places was. Because all these Republicans were lying. And then Fox News all their texts were laid bare, right? So they knew that they were lying to the American people. As they were lying, they never went on and admitted that with all their chests. So their viewers never dropped, their listeners, viewers, all that sort of stuff, people that read their articles, had never turned over because they didn't fall on the sword like they should have, right? And that is very dishonest, and it comes from that side, right? I never want to say Democrats are blameless, because people aren't blameless, but I see the hypocrisy. I see the misdirection and the manipulation from Republicans. So this is why I'm saying this high up the ladder with broad strokes. This is how this looks. I don't have any reason to think that this person has a modicum of authority, because Republicans, in my view, have lost their integrity. As sad as it is to say that, they very much earned that assessment from me. But the thing I will say is that I hope that with this person's background, already having owned a voting system thing, this person in the article, at least it says there's bipartisan teams. I can't verify that, of course, but if that's true, there's at least a little gap for a little bit of hope that maybe this person is not one of those triple Trumper, drank the Kool-Aid, far-right MAGA folks. This person is actually running a viable business and recognizes that this business needs to exist in perpetuity. And if half of the country lays bare the inconsistencies in their reporting, maybe this might not be a viable business long term. Who knows? I see your face, Q, and I've talked a lot, but that's what I hope. And the floor is yours to pick it apart. But I hope that's all I can do is hope. So
I'm glad you packed your hope, because I ain't packed none. I ain't packed none.
I know.
There's kind of nothing left for me to say. Like you said everything I would say, and then said, but I have hope at the end of it.
I did
Like,
the 8 Mile Eminem thing, right?
yeah, you said all the things I would say, and then instead of like putting a period, you put hope at the end of it.
I know I don't. I mean,
Yeah, the a Republican election official bought Dominion voting systems,
that's crazy.
the same company that sued Fox News and others for close to $1 billion, which proves capitalism mixed with some racism is kind of undefeated. These people who fought for the integrity of their company, who fought for the reputation of their company, after they got very, very rich from a lawsuit, sold that company to someone who can now do what they want with it.
Yeah.
And there's a thing that happened, right? Like Kamala Harris should be our president, but she's not.
Yeah.
And I think in some people's minds, well, a return to quote unquote normalcy would be electing a Democratic candidate. And I don't feel that way. Like everything about the current system is broken, all of it.
Yeah.
I don't have any hope that it can be repaired. And I definitely didn't gain hope by a Republican purchasing the company
It
that in
counts
a
the
lot of
votes.
places counts the votes. You're talking about the same Republicans that think the only way an election is fair is if they win, and if they don't, it's rigged. Those people you think might shoot us a fair one on votes, like on this thing specifically, like this. They've campaigned for like a decade now on either we win or it's rigged.
Can I offer this?
Please.
So here's what I got.
And whatever else, because I ain't got it.
Okay. So do you remember we went to a campaign event? It was at a church. It would have been in like Mesa, right?
Yep.
And there was a Republican gentleman who was an elected official. He got up, mayor, right? So it was a Republican mayor. Got up and he said, "You know what? I'm a lifelong Republican. I'll die a Republican. My family's Republican. All my friends are Republican. But what Donald Trump is doing is wrong. And that's why I'm here campaigning against him, because I don't want to see my party go in that direction. I don't want to see the country go in that direction, right?" Now, obviously, history has told us that that was unsuccessful. All the Republicans that had tried to stand up for the party that they once knew lost that fight along with the rest of us, right? But I can see a couple of things in this that that allow for that little crack of hope. Now, I'm not putting money on this or anything, but I'm like, I hope that this guy does shoot the fair one. That's all I could say.